Are you here to make this video more lighthearted?
Hey, video games. They're pretty cool, right? You ever play a video game where you're like, damn, I could have made it so much better? You pick up your phone and you tell the creator of the game that you'll rue the day that they killed your favorite character? This video isn't about video games. I'll probably be using them as a backdrop, but this video is about the dynamic between a creator and its fans. The idea popped into my head because of a dumb tweet circulating around the gaming community talking about the character design of Aloy and the New Horizon Forbidden West gameplay footage. At the end of the asinine tweet, it says, "Hire fans, LOL." Now this is obviously a very problematic tweet, not just due to the blatant neglect of wanting diverse character designs or the fact that they've never played a video game before, seeing as they want more feminine characters in video games. There's a lot of examples of people crying for change because they didn't like one piece of media. The Last of Us Part 2 is a huge example. In film, Star Wars Episode 8. In television, Game of Thrones Season 8. Now, all of these are very controversial pieces of media. Some have things that are very positive about them, some negative. Overall, they're just very divisive in their fan base. The thing that each of these have in common is that they have a very distinct creator behind the scenes. Neil Druckmann, Rian Johnson, David Benioff, and D.B. Weiss. This is not always the case behind certain properties. Some things are committee created, which basically means that there's a lot of people to sculpt something that'll be enjoyed by the largest demographic possible. In the creative mindset, that's gross. That just feels like algorithms creating everything that I want and need. As somebody who enjoys a large amount of media, I want stories to be told to me. I don't want stories to be made for me. Single minds, a small creative team, that usually means there's less filters, less people that'll tell them no. You're basically getting direct line into the storyline the creator wants to tell. The hate that these properties get, I would argue, is mostly justifiable criticism. But I can't mention them without mentioning the people that are blatant misogynist bigots, overall just not a really cool person criticizing these things because of whatever they don't like. While this subsect seems large, I do believe it is amplified by those shining a light on it. I am going to call these people outliers, but I do agree that these people are still the problem, if not a problem. This just isn't what I'm talking about today. Before I even get into it, I'm just gonna say, it is very okay not to like something. It's obviously okay to have opinions on something. It's even better when it's justifiable, but it's something else when you're demanding something to be changed just because you don't like it. Even when a majority of people don't like it. You, as a fan, have no rights. Even because you gave money to a company to buy a video game, the only right that you have is to play it. You can even criticize it. You can even use footage from the video game to state why you don't like something. That is completely under fair use. But because you gave that money to that company to play that video game, that means that you supported it. In this big capitalist society, that is the number one thing that you can do to support a video game, is to buy it. So if you didn't like a video game, that means you still supported it, dumbass. All right, sorry, that's not what this video is actually about. We're talking about the fan base, right? And the creative process. Say that I wrote 2 video games. The first one, you played it, you loved it, you had characters that you absolutely adored. You started playing the second one, you're loving it, but I killed the character that you loved so dearly. The game goes on a wild tangent, and you had no idea what to expect. I'm talking about a certain video game, but I'm not gonna say the name of it because I don't want to spoil people. You riot. You say that it was the wrong decision. You tell me I should never write again. To which I tell you, go f yourself. It's my story. I'm gonna tell it however I want. First of all, even if I was going to change something, that costs money. It cost the Snyder Cut $70 million to make. Do you have $70 million? You're basically asking for a whole new video game at that point. Second of all, It's my creative integrity. I'm putting my foot down because it's something that I chose to do. I felt it thematic in this type of medium. I want to cause a stir with the critics and the players. I want to challenge people. Giving you something that you expected is easy. Giving the unexpected, that's the hard part. But you're a gamer. You want your voice heard. Sure, you could riot, you could boycott, you can even tell me to go f myself on Twitter. You have every right to do that. Saying I made the wrong decision. Saying the fans could have made something better. That, my friends, is gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is probably become something synonymous with, I like this property. I don't want anyone to change the property that I like. Motherfucker, I'm gonna change it because I legitimately own the rights to it. You can like one thing and not like the other thing because the other thing doesn't change the original thing. We've gone over this before. Ghostbusters, Star Wars, whatever has changed over the years, you can still like that original thing. I'm in the same boat as a lot of people. There's a lot of things that I don't like, but I'm not on Twitter rioting that season 8 of Game of Thrones needs to be reshot. There's fair criticisms about that franchise ending. It felt rushed. There was nothing clever about it. It felt too clean cut for Game of Thrones. The difference being, I didn't go online boasting about how much I didn't like how Game of Thrones ended. I didn't threaten the creators of the show. I didn't demand for justice because it's not my show. It's theirs. For whatever reason, they decided to make the show the way that they did. Whether it be time constraints, focusing on other projects, or just the idea that it could never live up to fan expectations. They did what they did. Game of Thrones will forever have that on its legacy. But did that ruin it? It sucks that it happened. It didn't nail the ending. I mean, it's not a perfect show. It had its hits and misses, and it was still an important show. It just kind of trailed off and people don't love it like they used to. People still bring it up, but it's not in that positive tone that it used to be. Star Wars is a similar tone. We talked about that a lot on my podcast, Talk Me Into. And we basically came to the conclusion that Star Wars isn't for adults. It's intended for children.
Like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you.
Right.
But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids.
Right. Yep.
The second 3 were for different fucking kids. And this one is for kids.
You have to respect it for what it is. Every property is different and the results may vary. I think The Last of Us Part 2 is the most loved and hated video game of all time. That game is such a personal experience that I really don't care what you have to say about it. Everybody who plays it needs to have their own opinion on that game. Now, moving on, you might say, hey Jimmy, you dumb f***, have you ever heard of early access games? And to that, I say, of course! I love early access games. That's the #1 way that the fans can have their voices heard. The creator of the game Hades shouted out the fans for their feedback while he was accepting the Game of the Year awards from DICE.
We just want to express our gratitude to our families who supported us, our players in early access, who helped make Hades better.
I think early access games are great. One of my favorite games of all time is Phasmophobia. It's still in early access. It's such a fun and goofy game, scared the shit out of me when we first played it. And they're open to criticism. Take fan ideas and integrate them into the game. There's a piano in the game, and I still think that they should make the piano playable. And then it can do like doo-doo-doo, and then the achievement will come up and it'll say they hate this, and it'll be an homage to Ghostbusters. Kinetic Games, I'm talking to you. Let's do it, huh? Even though it wasn't in early access, No Man's Sky took all its criticism in stride, took the resources from the game. Paris, stop moving the camera. No Man's Sky took the resources and they made it into a better game. That does come down to the game being fundamentally broken, though. Should we talk about Cyberpunk? I think that's a whole other topic for another day. Oh no, your butt. Fan games are a whole other thing. There's a lot of stories about fan games being made and then they're being picked up from the developers themselves. Look at Christian Whitehead. He was known for 2D Sonic games and he got hired to make the mobile ports of Sonic 1, 2, and CD. And then he was lead developer on Sonic Mania. And that was a shot in the arm that Sonic the Hedgehog needed. Sega themselves have sanctioned that fan games are okay. And a lot of them seem really cool. Fan games are dope, but my only one criticism about that is, wouldn't you rather make something that's your own IP? Then you can get your foot in the door as a real developer. Not that creators of fan games aren't real developers, but they're more legitimized. It's okay that your property is inspired by other properties. Look at everything I do. I'm inspired to make these YouTube videos because of creators like Scott the Woz, Arlo, the Angry Video Game Nerd, Video Games Awesome, Donkey, Game Grumps. I could go on. I write movies because I love early Kevin Smith, the Coen brothers, Edgar Wright. I make podcasts because I own a microphone and I'm a white suburban dude in his 20s. All right, back to the original topic. Video games can be tricky because there's an element of actual gameplay instead of just a narrative. I think it's harder for creative types like Neil Druckmann to justify changing the story to change people's wants over gameplay. Gameplay can be tweaked to be made better, menu changes, accessibility options. Those can be patched in later on. The way the narrative is structured and told, that's the skeleton of the core of what the game like The Last of Us is. He'd be fundamentally making a different story than what he wanted to tell. I obviously think that there is a large difference between vitriol and criticism. You look on Twitter and everybody's taking sides. You go onto the Xbox Twitter, it says PlayStation better, The Last of Us sucks. You go onto PlayStation Twitter, it says Xbox better, The Last of Us sucks. You say that you don't like Star Wars Episode 8 and you're called a misogynist, an incel. There are misogynists and incels that don't like the movie, but because that you don't like the movie, it doesn't make you a misogynist or an incel. They're just extreme one-sided arguments. Everything is black and white now. You know what the number one way of saying that you don't like something is? With your wallet. Don't support something. I'm not going to see the second Venom movie because I saw the first one and it was a trash fire. I'm expecting a lot of hate for this video. I don't know, man. I feel like I didn't even get into it with certain topics. This video feels all over the place. But yeah, I'm expecting some not positive feedback. So if you actually did like this video, please thumbs it up. Subscribe for more videos like this. Maybe leave a comment about what you think the dynamic between a fan and creator should be. And if you didn't like it, well, I guess I should just hire fans.